Welcome back to the Hawkeye Garage. I am Joe. This week we have the 3rd gen 4Runner back in the garage, and I thought it was about time that I talked to you guys about how I'm feeling about this 4Runner and what my thoughts are on it. Stay tuned. Now, I've mentioned in several other videos and a lot of my Instagram posts and stuff where I'm kind of back and forth all over the board about my thoughts and feelings on the 3rd gen. And I kept telling you guys I was gonna have a love-hate video with it, because it's honestly kind of where I'm at with it. Well, I don't know about hate. It's more of a really like and severe indifference. How about that? So we're gonna walk around inside and out the 4Runner, talk about a few things that are kind of quirky, some things that I've found that I like and I don't like about it as I've been driving it and I've been working on it. And we're gonna kind of talk about how and why these 4Runners are so stinking popular. First off, let's start with the looks. I think this might be the best looking 4Runner of all time. Besides the 1st gen, but 1st gen's kind of in a league of its own. It's a 2-door, the top comes off. 2nd gen was just like a SUV, nothing special. The 4th gen, although it has a special place in my heart, I've always kind of felt like it was just the 4Runner that they couldn't stop designing. There's just so much going on aesthetically with that vehicle. It was kind of confusing. The first round of the 5th gen was, again, just kind of like SUV. It's just a 4Runner, nothing really. And then, you know, everyone really jumped on board when they did that facelifted version. But although I will admit it's very good looking, Toyota did a great job designing that for the demographic that they were after and the time period that we're in as far as what people want to see. It's just a little bit too, oh, look at me, I'm a 4Runner. It's just a little bit too much. The 3rd gen to me is, I don't know, it's got some really good lines. The back fenders, the front fenders, the hood scoop, I guess. Everyone's obsessed with the Sport Edition hood scoops. I didn't even notice that this had a hood scoop. Like, I knew about the whole hood scoop thing, but I didn't even realize that this particular one had one until one of my buddies pointed it out to me after I got it. And I guess from the inside looking out, it kind of looks cool, and it does add to the overall look of it. This is an 02. It is the fat lip edition is what they call it, because it has the big front bumper. Not a huge fan of that, but overall, I think it's subtle. I think, like I said, the fender lines are really good. The hood scoop helps. And just overall, I think it's probably the best looking of the bunch. Let's move to a negative real quick. This thing is tiny. And I realize that's not a negative for a lot of people, and we'll get on the other side of that. It's really small. I'm not a big guy. I'm like 5'10", 5'11" on a good day, and I feel almost claustrophobic in this. Even compared to my WJ, which I've always said is small, this thing is really tiny. Like, I'm pressed right up against the door. The armrest in the center is wide enough for one person's arm. I don't know how that left design and manufacturing with someone saying, yeah, that's okay. The armrest is 4 inches wide. That's big enough for one arm. I don't get that. Going back and forth between the GX and this thing, the GX seems, I know it's, you know, a lot bigger. It's kind of in a different class, but really they're only 5 years apart. They're essentially built on the same platform. I know they're not, but I'm talking about, it's a 4Runner. This is a 4Runner. That thing feels like it's a full-size truck or full-size SUV almost getting into it compared to this, but then get into a Sequoia after being in the GX, and then the GX seems small. Anyway, the size, the front passenger compartment, the back seat in the cargo area, not too bad. Plus side of the size, I can totally understand, besides the reliability and the parts availability and stuff, why these things are so stinking popular for off-road, because even just driving on the roads, it feels like it's a little nimble mountain goat type of 4x4. Like, I totally understand the appeal for driving this off-road, and I can completely, like, I can imagine what it would be like, you know, with a lift and some bigger tires driving this on some actual trails. And another negative of this is, I think this is before Toyota really got their act together as far as engineering and manufacturing things to just work. Now, I know that, like, these things work, they run all the time, but every time I've had to work on something on this, it's always like I have to work on 4 things before I get to what I'm working on. It just doesn't seem like as well engineered on my 4th gen and on the GX. Anytime I need to work on something, like, things just come apart in a, what I would call an intellectual way, like it was designed intellectually, that we're like, I need to get to this, so this comes off, perfect. It's not of, well, I have to take this thing off over here so that I can get to this, and then I'm gonna have to fish it all through, and while I'm got it halfway apart, I'm gonna have to take another thing apart, which seems to be how everything on this thing is. And I haven't, you know, battled like a ton of rusty bolts or things like that. It's just every little thing just seems to fight with something else that is coming into contact with anytime you want to work on it, and it's been a little annoying. Now let's get some pros. Even though the interior is small, I really like how it's laid out. It's very simple. You know, there's dials for gauges, there's knobs for temperature control, but everything, like, it had cruise control, air conditioning, rear defrost, it has a sunroof, the back window goes down, there is already a cutout in the dash. You can run a double din stereo, which I've done. You don't have to cut anything out to make a double din fit, like, you know, we all are so used to having now. Since it's an 02, it does have cup holders, which is another ridiculous thing on 4Runners, that they didn't have cup holders in some of the earlier ones. And, you know, there's cubby holes, there's more storage in the center console of this than my GX. Used parts, at least from my perspective, where I'm located in Iowa and looking on the internet, there's not a lot available. I compared to some of the other vehicles that I've owned over the years, there's not a lot of used parts available for these, and I don't know why. Maybe because half of them, the frames have rotted out and they've been destroyed, or people are hoarding them. I don't really know. And the used parts that are available, for example, I needed door locks. This didn't come with any keys for the door locks. You can buy them aftermarket, but you have to buy them like one door at a time. You can't just buy a complete set, which you seem to be able to do for any other vehicle at a reasonable price. You can't find them used, and if you can find them used, they are astronomically priced, like to the point where I was at a loss for words at what people were trying to charge for these. I finally found some in a junkyard. Also, steering wheel. The leather on this steering wheel was completely destroyed, and I've just been trying to find a decent black leather 4-spoke wheel, which a lot of these had. I thought for sure I can find one for $100, which is still stupid for a 19-year-old vehicle. People were wanting over $200 for mediocre examples of them. I don't know. There just must not be that many, or people will pay the prices. I don't know. Another thing that people commented on my Instagram was the sport hoods. You know who's to blame about the price of sport hoods? All of you. All of you non-sport owners. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. People are charging so much for these because so many people have paid ridiculous amounts of money to have the sport hood with the hood scoop. I don't know. It is what it is. Those are just some of my thoughts, my likes and dislikes on the 4Runner. I've always been a fan of 4Runners. I've understood why people, like why there's a cult following for them. I really understand now. Some of you have commented about the fact that I've stated several times that I'm not keeping this. No, I'm not keeping it no matter what. Now that I've had one, you all think that I'm going to want one. Well, I've got my fix. I'm gonna continue to kind of make this a little bit nicer. I'll daily drive it, and eventually it will get sold. I'm not keeping it, and I am not going to be finding a different one because now I know that I like it. I also know that I don't want one, and I'm glad that I had this experience with this one instead of like searching out a really nice one and probably spending too much money on one and then having it for a few weeks and being like, I really like this, but I don't want it. So I'm happy to have had the experience with it, and to be able to make some content and drive with it. Like I said, we're just gonna keep whittling away at it. I just want to make a really nice example 4Runner before I go to sell it, and continue to enjoy it while I have it. But it just doesn't make sense for me and for my family to keep long term, or to buy a nicer one to keep long term, because I just don't think it's going to work with our lifestyle. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. I drop a video every Sunday, so make sure to turn those notifications on as well. I've also been dropping videos every Wednesday night, at least lately, mountain bike content, so you'll want to have the notifications on for that as well. Follow the links in the description down below over to my Instagram and my Facebook, where I'm posting 4x4 stuff, mountain bike stuff, camping stuff, family stuff, all kinds of things. We're about to hit off camping season now. We're gonna be doing some fishing, more biking, and stuff like that. So you'll want to be in tuned to all of that. Comments and questions down below, of course. Probably raised a lot of feelings about 4Runners in this video, and that's fine. Also, you can email me, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com. Don't want to forget about that. If there's anything more in depth that you want to discuss, feel free to do that. So until next week, thanks for watching. Take care. Goodbye.